Yesu. Jina lako ni jina lenye nguvu Yesu. Jina lako ni kimbilio Yesu. Hallelujah. Hakuna jina lingine kama jina la Yesu. Jina lako ni ngao. Na tena ni ngao. Ndio maana mwenye haki akikimbilia yeye huwa salama. Yesu.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning for those following us in Australia. Good afternoon, those in other parts of Africa, West Africa. Good morning, those of us in America. My name is Larry Lisa. Thank you for joining us for Third Thursday. Today, our focus is on health, what you need to know. I'd like to invite my friend Eva Kimani. I have for many years called her Didodangdung. I had to remember her name today. Start off with prayer. Welcome, Didodangdung.
Thank you very much, Larry. Thank you. Let us pray. Dear Heavenly Father, we thank you this evening. We thank you for the gift of health, the gift of good health, the gift of life. We thank you that you have made this day come to fruition. We thank you that you saw it important that this session happens so that we may make decisions out of wisdom. And as Eunice runs with the session, may we derive wisdom and may we derive a lot of learning that will help us make decisions that will help us manage our health. I pray that whatever she relays here, it's going to come from you. It's with a lot of with blessings from you, and that it's going to benefit all of us. And for Larry, who has put this session together, may you continue blessing him as we reach wider audiences. And we pray that this session may be a session that helps us make good health decisions for our lives. We pray that you be with us and guide us throughout the session. We pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you so much, Eva. Ladies and gentlemen, a couple of months ago, I felt the Lord press upon my heart to give an opportunity for us to come together in a wider platform with a greater reach to share things that would be important to us. And the first meeting was gladly attended with a number of people, so was the second. The last Thursday, we were on finances and we discovered government securities, particularly treasury bills, treasury bonds and infrastructure bonds. And from the feedback that I have received from many of you, a number of people have supported the government by investing in treasury bills, and we hope that they will reap from them. The last time I did a poll requesting us to suggest the topical areas that they wanted us to discuss, and there was this one on health, what you need to know. And it was voted massively by over 50% of the participants. So next third Thursday will be in September, 19th September. We are yet to determine what we will talk about, even the topical area. So as we begin on what you need to know on health, I'd like to share an example of something that you need to know, just a few stories, then I'll introduce our speaker. A couple of months ago, a lady that is known to a friend of mine lost a pregnancy. And this was one of the 3 pregnancies that she had lost. So over time, doctors had not been able to discover why she was losing her pregnancy during the first trimester. And I remember her mentioning and telling us over a story that what she always remembers, that for her, she gets this huge craving for pawpaw, particularly pawpaw that is not fully ripened or ripe, that is a little bit raw, and she just gets that craving within the second month. Then, so one of the things that later turned out might have been causing her to lose the pregnancy was that it turns out that pawpaw, I don't know the scientific background to it, but I then did some research and saw has something called poppins, I think, that may not be very good for a woman expecting a child in the first trimester. And so a few months ago, actually, she carried her pregnancy to term. But you see, she always had this craving, and you think this is a fruit, it's okay. And you just don't know that pawpaw that is close to raw has poppins that can mess you up. So that's one thing you need to know. If you are expecting a child or will be pregnant, whatever you take in, try, read a little bit more, consult your doctors so that you don't just take anything in. A couple of years ago, I used to skip. This is the second thing you need to know. I used to skip a lot, and I would do 2,000 skips or jumps in 45 minutes. After a while, I developed a problem with my knees. It became so difficult to climb the stairs and to run, but mainly to climb the stairs. At some point, I had what is called as a calcaneal spur. My heel was so painful that I couldn't even walk. And so it turns out that when you skip, I used to think I can easily skip on concrete wearing the normal rubber shoes. And so the point that came later when I had to go through surgery to correct this, that came to be was that when you skip, you need to wear the right shoes, not just any rubbers, not just slippers, not just any normal light shoes that you walk with here and there, but you need to wear sport shoes, and particularly, if possible, skipping shoes. That would have spared me. But there are many people who've ended up spending a lot of money in hospitals, going through treatment and surgery simply because they didn't do that. A couple of years ago, this is the third thing, what you need to know, it's not necessarily directly related to health, but one of my friends lost a baby at birth. And at the hospital, the nurse came with a small box and told them that this is the baby. We have two ways. Would you like to go bury the baby? A majority of people who lose the baby at childbirth normally just allow us at the hospital to dispose them. And so the nurse was there waiting for them to make that decision then. So you are here mourning the loss of a child, and somebody is also here wanting you to make that decision then. You need to know that you don't have to make that decision then, because another couple was later telling a friend of mine, known to many of you, that they had to make that decision then, but they feel they never bonded with their baby or their child. And you could as well just request the hospital, give us time to think about this, give us the day, give us a couple of hours, because when the baby went and was disposed by the hospital, later some of their relatives who are very close, like this lady's mother, had really wanted to touch this child and didn't get that opportunity. So you have a right to do that. And finally, a couple of 2 years ago, at about this time last year, one of my friends had what she felt was eczema, and she kept scratching herself a lot. Her boobs in particular and the tender areas in her body had all these, were inflamed, had all these wounds and so on. And it was so bad. Every doctor she went to just prescribed eczema, said eczema, and prescribed some drugs. So after a while, it wasn't getting better. She became suicidal. She couldn't go out. She could feel so bad. She could only shower with hot water and feel good for that particular time. And shortly after that, feel horrible, and then she reached out to me, and I posted on my status, and one of you asked me to go see a doctor called Dr. Mbinda at Karen Hospital. And I took this friend to Karen Hospital. And when the doctor looked at her, she had spent nearly 200,000 seeing other dermatologists who were treating eczema. The doctor looked at her and said, you know what? This is scabies that you are suffering from. And we couldn't believe that scabies is still there. I used to know it as a child. I think I was affected and infected by it. She learned that it's transmitted a lot during either sharing, bedding, especially with children, and most importantly, sexual intercourse. And so she remembered that there is someone else with whom she was who had been scratching a lot. And you see, she spent time treating these eczema for a while, not knowing that it is scabies. So next time you are scratching and you probably do not know what is happening and you think it is eczema, it might not be eczema. It could be other things. Not all skin conditions are eczema. They could not, some of them could even not be dermatologically related, could involve your food and the food that you eat. Over the next couple of third Thursdays every month, we will be coming back to do health, and we hope to speak a little bit more on these things that you need to know and different areas of health, including pediatrics, cancer, matters related to surgery, matters related to mental health and psychiatric support, among others. I'm grateful for the many doctors who offered to be part of this. I know Bahati Standa is here and Dr. Frederick Odhiambo are also here. For today, ladies and gentlemen, we thought to look at the entire body and the entire healthy lifestyle, and we are blessed to have a sustainable healthy lifestyle specialist, Eunice Ogada. I asked her to introduce herself so that I do not dilute her huge profile. And I'd like to take this opportunity to thank Eva Kimani for introducing me to this incredible woman called Eunice Ogada. Eunice, karibu sana. Talk to your people.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Larry. And thank you as well to Eva, because yes, it is through her that we got to meet, and I'm so grateful for that. I believe there's no coincidences in life. Everything is a God incidence. God makes us meet when we need to meet for the reason that he has. So thank you so much. So I think I do have a slide that I will use to introduce myself. I wear many hats. But most important one is that I love Jesus. I'm doing life with Jesus. My biggest mission in life is to make it to heaven. That's my number one mission. And then my second mission is to now work with the people that God has placed in my sphere of influence so that I can be able to help them with their health. So thank you so much. Thank you so much, everyone that is here. So I hope you can all be able to see my slides. There are not many slides, they're just few slides. Yeah, perfect, thank you. Of course, this session is an hour long. We don't have a lot of time to discuss the ins and outs of everything. So please bear with me. What I have done is I have tried to put together everything you need to know from a holistic perspective, so that you are able to understand your health generally, but we can always come back and have another time when we can look at specifics of the things that we are going to talk about today. If you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. Larry has kindly offered to look at the questions for me. So please do put them and put them as we go so that you don't forget, because I might say something else and then now you forget the question that you had because other questions come. So as they come, please put them on and then we can be able to address them as they come. So of course, today we are looking at health from a holistic perspective because that's how health should be looked at. Health should never be looked at in isolation, but we'll go into that in a minute. Let me just introduce myself. So who's Eunice? As I said, first and foremost, I am a servant of God. I am doing life with Jesus. My biggest achievement so far in life is actually being a Sunday school teacher, because it is one of those things that I never thought I could do, and I do it. So it is one of those things that brings me a lot of joy, because being able to impact, children and bring them up in the knowledge of God, as the scriptures say, it's so important. I am a wife. I am a mother to two boys. I have a 7-year-old and a 4-year-old. Here they were younger. I think I need to update my photos. I was born and bred in Kenya. I went to primary school and high school in Kenya. And I came to the UK, I live in the United Kingdom. I came to the UK to study medicine. And the reason I came here was because I've always wanted to help people live without diseases. I think maybe we could mute people, or maybe when people come in, they can mute themselves. If Larry can just please help me on that. And then just so that we don't have interference for others that are here and on mute. And I came to UK as an 18-year-old, ready to do medicine. And then I went to the University of Birmingham, and they say to me, yeah, you can do medicine. We just need £41,000 per year for 6 years. I was like, hey, child, where is that money coming from? So unfortunately, I had to change. I did physiotherapy as a result because it was just way too much money. I did physiotherapy. I did my undergraduate in Birmingham. I did my postgraduates, 2 of them in Coventry University, but that was mainly in physiotherapy. But because my desire really wasn't just the physiotherapy, it was to actually help people with health and remaining healthy, I went back and I looked at functional medicine. Not many people know functional medicine. A lot of people know the general medicine, which is called allopathic medicine, where you have a doctor, you go to your doctor, you tell him your symptoms, they treat your symptoms, they name it, they blame it, they tame it with a medication. You go in, you say, oh, I have these symptoms. They say, yeah, you have these symptoms because you have this diagnosis, and I will give you these tablets to deal with those symptoms. Functional medicine doesn't do that. Functional medicine addresses why you're sick in the first place. Why did you get those symptoms? What was the root of it? Because there's no tree that ever grew where there was no seed that went into the ground. And I think when we think about health and diseases, we tend to ignore that part. When you go to the doctor and you ask them, so why do I have this sickness? They're like, oh, there's no specific reason. It's just bad luck. There's nothing like bad luck as far as health is concerned. There's always a root cause. There's always a reason. So functional medicine looks at that. It doesn't address symptoms. It addresses why you have it. So it pulls the root and you get rid of the fruit, which is the symptoms, and you get rid of everything else that comes with it, the suffering and the consequences. So I have done many different trainings. I've done lifestyle medicine. I've done functional medicine, still doing it actually, not fully finished. I've done nutritional courses. So I am certified in all those aspects. That's why I don't say I am a nutritionist. That's why I don't say I'm just a prescriber. I do everything because I am a healthy life specialist. I want you to live long. I want you to be able to live life in your own terms, do what you want, how you want, when you want, with whom you want, for how long you want, without having to live in pain, without having to live on medication, without having to go from one clinician to the other. And, you know, from the stories that Larry said, you can see that people are moving from one doctor to another, to another, to another, and every one of them is addressing the symptoms. They're not addressing the actual root cause. And until you pull the root, you will continue to address the symptoms. You continue to spend money, and health is expensive. It's not just expensive financially, it's expensive in every other way, every form. So that's Eunice in a nutshell. My desire is to see everyone live at ease and not with dis-ease, because disease is dis-ease. So I want you to live at ease. Leave the this out and just take the ease, right? And I want your health span to equal your lifespan. So if you live to 100 years, you don't need to have 40 of those years being in ill health, in pain, struggling. You want to live that 100 years being able to do everything you want for yourself, living life in your own terms without having people dictate when you can go out for sunshine, when you can come out, when you can go to the toilet, when you can take your medication, if you had to take the medication at that point because you're sick. You know, living life in your own terms until you are tired of living and say, like, Lord, I'm tired now, just take me. You sleep and then you don't wake up in the morning. That is what the death that Naaman said, I want to die the death of the righteous. That's the death of the righteous. You go to bed and then you don't wake up. So that's the desire for me, for everybody. Now, I said ology of your ology health. Because when Larry was speaking, he was talking about the friend she went to see several dermatologists, right? Everything in health is an ology: dermatologists, urologists, cardiologists, hematologists. Everything ends with an ologist. Why? Because the ologist is the specialization that they've been having. You know, the doctors have specialized in that field. However, the specialization is purposely intended on treating the symptoms and not necessarily addressing the root. And the other problem we have is that these ologists, they don't talk to each other. So when you go and see a gastroenterologist here, gastroenterologist is not interested in what's happening with hematology and cardiology, because they think that's not my field, that's not my department, they are not related. But they are very much related, because we are not ologists. We are one person that have all these systems that work together. And what happens here will impact all of this. Your immune system, 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So if your gut is affected, every one of these symptoms will be affected. If your circulation is affected, it's going to affect everything else. So you need to understand that you are not an ologist. Yes, you might be told to go and see an ologist, but you really need to understand, does this ologist understand how the ologist is affecting those other ologists, all these ologists here? So you need to understand that you are one person. You cannot be divided. Your health cannot be divided into one. You need to understand one thing. As far as your health is concerned, you can have one condition that can be caused by many causes. And this is where you think about a tree. When you see a tree and the tree doesn't only have one root. The roots have branches, one going this way, one going that way, and the other direction, and the other direction. Because that's very important to understand that one condition, and I'll give you the example of depression. A lot of people go to the doctors, they tell them, oh, I'm feeling low in mood, I don't want to go out, I don't want to do anything, I don't want to wake up and shower, I don't have the drive to get up and do the things that I would normally do. So the doctor says, oh, I think you're depressed. So I'm going to put you on antidepressants. Name it, blame it, tame it with the antidepressants. But actually, it could be that that person has depression, yes, but the depression wasn't caused by the psychological issues that are going on in their life. It could be that that person has low thyroid. If their thyroid is not functioning well, or they have low thyroid function, that can cause depression. It could be that this person doesn't eat a lot of fish, and so they have very low omega-3, and that causes depression. It could be that this person has been taking a lot of antibiotics, and especially like in Kenya, you can walk to the chemist and they'll just give you antibiotics like easily. They could even give you 4 types of antibiotics in the same, at the same time, because they are easily accessible. So you've been taking antibiotics over and over and over, and you have really destroyed your gut microbiome. And like I said, 80% of your immune system is in your gut. So now you have destroyed your immune system. So you keep getting these infections. And as a result of that, you now have a leaky gut. And if you have a leaky gut, you end up with a leaky brain, which causes the depression. Or it could be that you have insulin resistance, and we will talk a little bit more about insulin resistance because it is at the root of many chronic diseases. It could be that this person is vitamin D deficient. And the reason they might be vitamin D deficient might not necessarily because they don't go out in the sun, but it could be that this person has other nutritional deficiencies like magnesium, because if you are low on magnesium, if you take the vitamin D supplements or if you go out and get the sun in, you don't convert it into the active form of vitamin D3, which has 18 jobs in your body. It gets converted into cholesterol. So your cholesterol is now going high, but you're deficient, and therefore you are ending up having depression as a result of it. A lot of women who have postnatal depression after having babies, is one of the biggest causes because they're usually vitamin D deficient and they don't know. But then when you go to the doctor and they give you an antidepressant, and your depression wasn't caused by the fact that you had neurotransmitters that are not adequate, it was because you had one of these issues, you will not respond to the medication. So you keep taking the same medication. for a long period of time. And what they tell you is, oh, you're drug resistant. You have drug resistant depression. I worked in mental health for 3 years, so I know this. They say, oh, you have drug resistant depression. Do you really? Do you really have drug resistant depression? Talk to me, guys. Put it in the chat. Do you think that this person has drug resistant depression if their depression wasn't caused by issues, by chemical imbalances in their brain? It was caused by one of these things. But you can see that these are different causes, but they're causing the same condition. The presentation is exactly the same. But then you can also have somebody else who has chronic inflammation, but that chronic inflammation can cause them to have different conditions. If you have chronic inflammation, it will cause you to have arthritis, and then they will tell you, oh, it's wear and tear. Is it really? Or you will have depression. If inflammation can cause you to become depressed, because if you have chronic inflammation, it will cause inflammation in your brain. Inflammation in your brain can cause depression and other mental health conditions. If you have inflammation, it can cause you to have a heart attack, to have a stroke. If you have inflammation, it can cause you to have diabetes. If you have inflammation, it can cause you to have cancer. So understand that when you look at your holistic health, you cannot just look at one thing. That's what I'm trying to say. You can't just look at it from one perspective. You can't look at just one thing. You have to look at it from every perspective. How is it impacting your overall health in every way? When you look at something like insulin resistance, insulin is a hormone in your body. It is the hormone that allows you to make energy because you're bringing in the raw materials that your cells need. And the raw materials can either be glucose, which is the food you eat, especially the carbohydrates, or it can be fat, either from the fat you're eating in your food or the fat that you stored in those love handles or those bingo wings, right? It's the fats, those I call them the croissants, that those rolls of fat around your upper back, your belly, your beer belly for the men. That's what we call, especially in the men, that's called visceral fat. It is very dangerous. That one will kill you. So stop being proud of that belly and saying, oh, this ni utajiri, si utajiri, ugonjwa. Right? So it's caused by insulin resistance. When your body is producing too much insulin and now your cells have become resistant to that insulin, so your body keeps producing more and more and more because your body doesn't quite understand that it's not that you're not producing enough, it's that your cells are not sensitive to the insulin anymore. And the other thing is, you look at insulin resistance, you realize what I was saying about one condition causing causing many conditions. It can cause you to have a stroke, heart disease, obesity, migraines, infertility. In women, it causes polycystic ovarian syndrome. In men, it causes erectile dysfunction. Cancer, fatty liver, so metabolic syndrome, basically diabetes. Sarcopenia is a condition where you lose your muscle mass, high blood pressure. All these conditions, I believe if we can all put it in here, we all know somebody who is suffering from one or several of these conditions. Yes? Put it in the chat. Do you know, if you know somebody in the chat, somebody in your life who is either suffering from it or has suffered from it, put a 1 in the chat. Let's see. What are the statistics looking like? Put a 1 in the chat and let's see. Do you know somebody that has suffered from any of or this? Or sometimes you see people who've had cancer and they have one type of cancer and then it comes back again and again as a different thing. Or somebody has cancer, but they're also struggling with diabetes. They're struggling with blood pressure. They're struggling with obesity. They struggle to lose weight. And insulin resistance is mainly caused by 3 things. 1, inflammation. And insulin resistance causes inflammation. So you can see, that's why I put this arrow here. So you can see it's bidirectional. They cause each other. One will cause you to have the other, and the other will cause you to have the other, right? It's one of those things that you really need to understand. If you have chronic inflammation, now you are exposed and you are at high risk of all these conditions, mental health conditions, issues with hearing and eyes and sinus and allergies, issues with your liver, diabetes, you have issues with the reproductive system, endometriosis, fibroids, prostatitis, inflammation of your prostate, rheumatological conditions, rheumatoid arthritis, all these autoimmune diseases. In your musculoskeletal issues with your joints and your muscles, tendonitis, costochondritis, which affects your rib cage, right? Osteoporosis, where you have brittle bones, cancer, you know, skin issues like Larry was talking about, acne, rosacea, eczema, psoriasis. With your gut, you have inflammatory bowel conditions like Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, diverticulitis, IBS, irritable bowel syndrome. With your heart, you start having issues with high blood pressure, breathing problems, COPD, asthma, bronchitis, emphysema, all these issues. With your nerves, you start having issues with multiple sclerosis, Parkinson's disease, migraines. And you can see these diseases are interchangeable because chronic inflammation will cause you to have these diseases, but so will insulin resistance. Same cause, different conditions. So when we talk about holistic health, we can't just look at it from a disease-specific model, because you know people are just thinking about blood pressure, somebody else is thinking about cancer. We have to think about all of them, because remember that if you have insulin resistance and you have chronic inflammation, it puts your risk of all these conditions on this slide. So you have to think about your health from a holistic perspective to prevent you becoming insulin resistant and prevent you from having chronic inflammation. As a result of that, you will be able to prevent the diseases that will affect every system in your body from top to bottom. That's what holistic health is. It's preventing disease anywhere and everywhere in your body. It's about looking at it from what are the things in your life that will cause you insulin resistance. Number one, stress. Number two, your nutrition, what you eat and how frequently you eat. Number three, inflammation, mostly triggered by our environment. What are these things that we are doing every day? So it's not just about what you eat, it's about how you live. What are the things that are making us sick? And let's look at our lifestyle. Number one thing is the quality of air we are breathing. There's so much air pollution everywhere. We don't think about the air we breathe, but the air we breathe, it goes in, the toxins go in, that's an entry route for those toxins. Remember, some of them are so small that they go straight into your lungs, they go through your lungs, into your body, they cause a lot of inflammation in your body, and inflammation then leads you to being insulin resistant. And now, can you see the rise of the diseases? And this is why the diseases are going up. One of the places that has the highest polluted air is China and India. Why? Because those countries have really developed from an industrial perspective. Their industries have really they are making quantum leaps as far as their industry is concerned. But they're also paying for it in terms of the air quality. And that's why if you look at countries like China, Japan, India, they have the highest rate of diabetes without obesity. Why? Because the people have become insulin resistant as a result of all this stress in the body, physiological stress that is coming as a result of insulin resistance. The air they have breathed has now caused them to become insulin resistant. And now they are not overweight. So don't think that insulin resistance has to do with just being overweight. Overweight is one thing that can cause it, but you can be skinny. There's something called toffee, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. You can be size 0 or size 6 or size whatever is small to you and have insulin resistance and be diabetic and end up having diseases like cancer. Why? Because chronic inflammation, insulin resistance will cause that. Things like smoking. I think everybody knows how bad smoking is. One of the things that smoking does, it destroys your stem cells. So your body cannot repair itself. So if you're here and you're a smoker, please listen to this. Hear this. Every time you take a cigarette and you smoke it, you destroy the repair system in your body. So whilst things are going down, because you're also becoming insulin sensitive, resistant, you're losing your insulin sensitivity and becoming insulin sensitive, resistant because of all the ceramides that you're producing, you're becoming inflamed, right? Nicotine causes your fat cells and your muscles to become insulin resistant. So if you are a smoker, you are now introducing lifestyle activities that are against your health. And food is part of the lifestyle. We love eating. Food is 4 things. Food is nutrition, food is energy, food is information, food is energy, food is connection, and food is medicine, the most potent medicine you will ever find anywhere in the world. So the food you eat can be the best form of medicine, or it can be the slowest poison that will kill you slowly. It's not the one-time exposure, it's the frequent cumulative exposure. Food that is lacking in nutrition, high in calories, high in inflammatory chemicals like the fat that they deep fry it in, the vegetable oils, right? And also the things we put in our food. For example, I put Royco here. A lot of people don't realize that Royco, and if you do cook with Royco, please look at that container of Royco and read the ingredients. Among the ingredients on it is something called monosodium glutamate, MSG. And this destroys the gut lining. It also causes your cells to become insulin resistant. So if you're cooking your food with your Royco, you might have the right food, but the way you're cooking your food also matters. It's not just about eating the right thing, it's also how you prepare your food. It increases 1 gram of MSG leads to 14% increase in insulin resistance. And I've shown you the effects of insulin resistance. And then your toxins. We live in a toxic world. There's toxins all over us. This chair that I'm sitting on, right? The regulations say that they must make it fire retardant so that it doesn't catch fire. But that is a toxin to me. So if my liver and my body is not working, my detox system is not working very well, and I'm sitting on this chair every day, I'm breathing polluted air, I have to make sure that my body and everything I'm putting in my body enables my body to detoxify. Toxins like plastic. I see people drinking a lot of water from the plastic containers. And sometimes when the water is being delivered, they leave it outside and the sun burns it. The chemicals from the plastic, they are going into the water. They are leaching into the water. The cooking pots you're using, those aluminum pots, they are leaching aluminum, which is a heavy metal. And that becomes a toxin in your body. It's going in, it's causing hormonal issues, because what toxins do is, when they get into your body, they go and clog your hormone receptors for all your other hormones. And now you have a problem with your hormonal system. And when your hormonal system goes out of work, everything goes out of work, because your body works on hormones and enzymes. And then we have pesticides. You know, when we hear a lot of conversation about GMO. If you don't know about GMO, they genetically modify it. That's what it means. Genetically modified organism. That's what GMO stands for. They genetically modify the food so that when they spray glyphosate and all these chemicals they spray on it, it doesn't kill the plant, it kills the weeds, but it doesn't kill the plant. But are they spraying only on the weeds, or are they spraying on everything? They spray on everything because they know they have genetically modified it that it will not kill it. For example, here we buy some ugali flour called Iwisa. Iwisa is genetically modified maize from South Africa. So when you're eating that ugali, alongside the ugali, you're eating the pesticides. They accumulate in your fat cells, because your body will always use fat to cover the toxins to try and as a preventative measure. They will cause inflammation in your system. They will cause you to become insulin resistant. And now you have your risk of all those diseases that I've shown you in the previous slide go up significantly. People are eating a lot of sugar, a lot of artificial sweeteners, a lot of fructose. Fructose is that sweet molecule in sugar. Anything you eat that is sweet, that's fructose. Glucose is not sweet. If you ate a potato, awaru is not sweet. It's not sweet at all. But if you're eating something that is sweet, because it contains fructose, whether that's natural fructose or whether that is artificial fructose, there's something called high fructose corn syrup that the industrial companies, the big food, is using to put in our food, because they're using that to hack our biochemistry to make you eat more of it, because they know that when they hack into your brain and to your biochemistry, you will crave the sugar, so you will eat more of it and they will make more profit. The food you eat can expose you to other organisms, like one called lipopolysaccharide, which causes a lot of inflammation in the body. It causes a lot of insulin resistance in your body. It destroys the brain. It goes through the blood-brain barrier and causes inflammation in your brain. And now you start having mental health conditions. Why? Because of the food you ate. Things like salt. There are people who are like, oh, salt causes hypertension. Salt doesn't cause hypertension. You are insulin resistant. So you're not getting rid of the salt, you're holding on to it. And that is what is causing your blood vessels to dilate. Instead of them having, they're being able to open up and the blood flows easily. Your blood is going through small, blood vessels like this. So the blood pressure is going up because it's inhibiting your nitric oxide that is allowing them to dilate and, the blood flows easily. So it's not the salt that causes your hypertension. It's the fact that you're insulin resistant and now you're holding on to the salt, because the insulin causes you to hold on to water. As you hold on to water, you also hold on to the electrolytes, because electrolytes are in the water. And now you think it's the salt that is causing a problem, but it is not. It's the fact that your cells are already insulin resistant. But look, because we are not looking at health from what caused it in the first place, we're just looking at the symptom. The symptom is the hypertension, is the high blood pressure. But we didn't look at why it came in the first place. What are the other things that are making us? It's the things that we do or don't. The sleep you sleep or don't will either, if you sleep well, your body repairs at night, your brain repairs at night when you sleep. If you're not sleeping, the repair is not happening, the toxins are accumulating in your body, you're becoming more insulin resistant. In fact, if you don't sleep well tonight, tomorrow you'll be very insulin resistant, and tomorrow you'll be very hungry. You have a lot of cravings. You will eat all the time. One night only, it has that impact. So if you're not sleeping every night, then what's happening? 1 week of less sleep can make your body 30% insulin resistant. If you tend to have naps as well, longer than 30 minutes daily, that can also lead you to having insulin resistance. Why? Because it interferes with the quality of your sleep later on in the night. People are now sitting. I keep saying, sitting is the new smoking. The same negative effects you have of sitting, of smoking, is exactly what we are having now with sitting. We sit all day. I have a standing desk. Half of my day, I do my work in standing. Half of my day, I sit, stand, sit, stand, sit, stand, sit, stand. Why? Because I don't want to be a smoker. So when we go places and they ask, is anybody a smoker? If you sit all day and then you go home and then you sit again, can you please raise your hand up next time somebody asks if you're a smoker? Because now you know you are a smoker. Sitting is the new smoking. The negative effects you get from smoking are the same exact negative effects you get from sedentary lifestyle, where you sit, you don't move, you become inflamed, you don't use the energy that you put in your body consistently, you become insulin resistant because you're not utilizing those muscles. They don't need to make the energy, so they don't need to take in the glucose. But because you keep putting in the food, the insulin just keeps going up and up and up. And then there's the stress that we are not managing. We are living in a very, very stressful world. You watch the news, it's distressing. You go on social media, it's distressing, right? There's stress that we know we are stressed about. Like, so for example, when you're going low on cash, you start feeling that stress, right? But there's also the stress that you don't realize that is affecting you. That's why you should not be going on social media before you go to bed. An hour before bed, you should not be going on any gadgets or any TV. Why? Because chances are you will be exposed to news. They will
Eunice,
unconsciously, yes?
sorry, Eunice, we just need to wrap up soon because there are so many questions.
This is the
that
last
we
one.
will, yeah,
It's the last one.
thank you.
Yeah. And so the stress that we are not managing is affecting our health. And stress breaks down every system in your body. It is the most metabolically expensive thing that your body can deal with. You decide that you don't want to be connected to other people. Oh, I don't like to mix with people. I just want to keep to myself. You're missing out on all the happy hormones that you can get as a result of being connected with people. When you're together, when you laugh, laughter is medicine to the soul and medicine to the body. Connectedness and having a purpose in your life makes so much difference to your health. So I'm going through them quickly because it's a lot of things that we have to think about. So these are the things that you have to think about. What are the things that are affecting me, right? How am I planning my health? Am I monitoring it, right? Do I have empowered nutrition? Am I achieving mental wellness as a result of my lifestyle? How is my life? Is the things that I'm doing in my lifestyle, are they leading to longevity or are they cutting down my years? 63% of people are dying young and in pain. Do I have good metabolic health? So am I insulin resistant or am I insulin sensitive? Are my hormones balanced? Those are the things that I normally talk about. These are the things that I usually teach my clients. The things that will help your life, the things that will help your holistic health. You become empowered to have the tools, the skills, the ability to handle them because you have now healthy habits. You have a healthy body, you have a healthy spirit, you have a healthy mind. A healthy mind leads to a healthy lifestyle. An unhealthy mind leads to an unhealthy lifestyle. So it's those things that you need to really think about. Larry, I'm done. We can go to the questions.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Eunice. I have a number of questions, but we truly appreciate. Some have been written by some comments.
Yeah.
There are some doctors on the floor who I think wanted to maybe share some views, not really contrary, but they were saying they have some alternative views. I don't know if Dr. Ronnie is here, if you can take the floor for a minute. And then I'll ask Dr. Fred just a minute. But as you do that, Eunice, the questions I'll ask because we'll have to be done by 8:30. One, someone is asking about fruits. Should we take them before or after meals? After that, after the questions, I'll ask them to talk, then you can come back and respond. Fruits, should we take them before or after meals? Another person is asking, is it dangerous staying close to a cell tower? I think the communication towers. The third is there is more increase of sunscreen usage in Kenya by women and men. Is it really necessary? And fourth, are you really serious that postpartum depression, I bet, can be caused by lack of vitamin? Then there's a lady who asked if a 7-year-old has white patches on the side of her eyes, which started as rashes. I think this may be more medical, and the doctor said it's eczema. I know Dr. Fred is very diplomatic. I don't know if you are there, or Ronnie, if there's something you wanted to give an add-on. Dr. Ronnie, Dr. Standa, Dr. Fred, any of you, please unmute. Are they able to unmute, Eric? Yeah, please unmute. I think Dr. Standa has dropped off. Fred, if you can give me your name, Fred Ouma, you can unmute. Yeah, he's unmuted.
Yes, Larry.
Doctor, yes, please say something.
Yeah, I'd like to thank the speaker, Eunice, for the very wholesome discussion. And those are great insights. Some of them are things that, you're not taught directly in school. There are things that you learn from research and interacting with people from various other fields. I'd just like to add that the issue about salt and high blood pressure, there are various mechanisms that have been fronted for how salt would cause or worsen high blood pressure. But the most direct one is the fact that as she mentioned, water follows salt. Actually, she mentioned that water follows this, but I think it's water follows salt. I remember that thing about osmosis and everything, the things we used to do in high school. Water follows salt. So where salt goes, water will also go to, in an attempt to dilute it, so that the body can survive. So just by that mere fact, when you take a lot of salt, it gets absorbed in the bloodstream, and once in the blood, then more water will be absorbed into the blood in an attempt to dilute it. When the amount of water increases in blood, then it means the volume.
You've muted you. Dr. Fred, we've muted you accidentally. Eric, unmute Fred Ouma. Yeah, you are back, Fred.
Yeah, I don't know where I left off, but I was saying water follows salt. So that means that excessive consumption of salt means more salt gets into the bloodstream, and when there's more salt in the bloodstream, then there is there's increased water in the blood as well. That means the volume of the blood goes up, therefore the heart has to pump more. The amount of blood that the heart pumps at every beat is normally referred to as cardiac output. And the two main factors, I'm saying main because there are many that contribute to them, but the two main factors that lead to blood pressure are cardiac output and peripheral resistance. The pressure, it's the same way a pipe works. When you press an end of a pipe, and you open the tap on the other end, then the water comes out at a higher pressure. That's something you observe in car wash and even at home. That means that when you increase the amount of water, the pressure is also going to go up, just like in a pipe. So that's what I wanted to add to that. And
Thank you
just
so much.
finally, when generally we consume a lot of salt, it's been found that most of our foods have excessive salt, as it were. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Dr. Ronnie Otieno.
Larry,
yeah, I'm here, though I may be leaving shortly. I'm just at work. I don't know
say
whether
a
you can
minute.
see me.
Dr. Ronnie, then we'll finish with Eunice. What did you say?
No, just to be brief, pleased to meet everyone. I just wanted to say that I respect and thank you for the speaker's speech. I'm a believer that allopathic medicine, lifestyle medicine, alternative medicine, African traditional medicine, all of that can coexist. And sometimes if at all you are sick, you have diabetes, your A1C is out of the chart, then definitely work with your doctor to control your diabetes, because it may be at a point where like you need medicine at that point. If at all you are not yet like at the point where you actually need medication, then definitely adopt all those other changes. But I just wanted to say there is so much to medicine than just taking like one option or one view of it. If at all you have something, let's say like appendicitis, and you need your appendix to be taken out, then definitely go to a surgeon to get it taken out. Anyway, that's all I would say like at this point, and pleased to meet everyone.
Before Eunice, thank you, Dr. Ronnie. Dr. Sarah Bahati Standa.
Oh, yes, good evening, everyone. I'm happy to be here, and thank you so much, Eunice, for the presentation that you've just made. Quite enlightening from, of course, a slightly different perspective. I am a psychiatrist, and I've had you mention quite a bit about mental health. And yes, what I just want to bring on board is the fact that there are many pathological processes that take place. And yes, insulin insufficiency is one of those many reasons why maybe we end up with complications, but it's not the only one. Yeah. And so for matters mental health, I hope we realize that there are other things that maybe I don't want to use big jargons right now talking about them, like the neurotransmitters, like the serotonins, the dopamine levels that maybe get imbalanced, and because of that, maybe our moods shift from one pole to another, and many other causes of mental illness. So yes, thank you, Eunice, for that. And yeah, there are many other also processes that could lead to disease in our bodies. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Standa. I have seen other messages. The good news is we will have another session of health, especially mental health, which we will have in a couple of months, maybe a month from now. The month of September or October is Mental Health Month. I think I had that, and we'll be able to also talk more. Eunice, we just have about 3 minutes for you to wind up. Sorry.
Okay, so first of all, I'll say thank you to my colleagues that have just spoken. I do agree. There's many, that's what I'm saying. There's not one thing only, there's many things. And if you're going to address your holistic health, you must address them all, not just one. We have to use them. Chronic health is one of those things that we really need to think about, but allopathic medicine is very well placed for acute issues. Like if you have a bacterial infection, you need antibiotics. 100%. There is a place for medicine, and there's also a place for lifestyle changes and holistic changes that we can put. But if you need the medicine, I agree. You need the medicine, yes, you need it at that point whilst you work alongside that. So I am a prescriber. I do prescribe medicine. So it's making sure that you are understanding that this is short term while I work on the long-term plan, and prevention is better than cure. Now, to the question about the neurotransmitter, your serotonin is made from the protein you eat. So if you're not eating enough protein, you don't have enough raw materials to make the serotonin, which can then lead to mental health issues. So your diet is so important in making sure that you're getting all the nutrients that you need for your body functions to function properly. For the fruit, when God made the poison, he made the antidote. The antidote is called fiber. The fruit you eat, don't drink your fruit, eat your fruit, because then you have the fiber intact. Should you eat it before food or after food? I believe you should be having your fruit with your food, and especially if it's safe, something like mango, orange foods have vitamin A. There's vitamins that are fat soluble. You need to have them with something that has a fat for your body to be able to absorb them. So if you have them away from your food and there's no oil or fat with it, your body will not be able to absorb it. Vitamin A, vitamin D, vitamin E, and vitamin K, they are all fat soluble. So having them with your food. When you have your food, you want to start with your protein because you want to utilize your stomach acid. Then you want to have your fiber, and along your fiber is where your fruit falls in that category. So have it with your food. So it's not about having it before or after, it's about having it together. But the order in which you have your food can also matter where insulin resistance is concerned and the amount of insulin spike you will get. What was the other question? Have I answered all of them? I'm trying to keep to
sunscreen. Just take a minute or less on sunscreen.
Oh, sunscreen. Sunscreen, you have to look at the ingredients of the sunscreen, because those toxins that I was talking about, some of the ingredients of the sunscreen are very, very toxic to your body. They are actually going to cause more harm than the sun you're trying to prevent. And also, it's about knowing the amount of exposure. We who are dark, we need slightly longer exposure to the sun to get the same amount of vitamin D that somebody who's Caucasian would need. So it's making sure that not only are you just putting sunscreen and being careless and being in extremely hot sun, it's also being able to look at how long am I being exposed to and what are the ingredients in my sunscreen. That is much more important than what that sunscreen is actually going to do in your body, because you might be causing more harm than you're helping with thinking that you're preventing the sun, but causing yourself to have cancer from the toxins instead of you having that sunburn. So you have to weigh what are the pros and cons. Like, do the benefits outdo the harm, or does the harm outdo the benefits?
Yeah. Thank you. So as we wind up, ladies and gentlemen, on the comments, I have shared 2 links by Eunice, her business card and a link to her website and an invitation on something she has. So please, before the meeting ends, you can go and copy those links or click on them and have them on your browser. Many of you are also my friends. We can remove the presentation and bring me back. Many of you are also my friends, and I will share these on the WhatsApp community where we have nearly 1,000 of you, and on my Facebook profile. One doctor here says that Eunice's points are great and largely true, though the body is more complex. Through psychology and pathology, we get to learn these. Many factors come into play when there is a problem with the body. It is not as simple as insulin resistance. We need a properly informed balance, with moderation being key to everything, which is what Eunice wound up with. In the minute to go, I'd like to invite many of you who are known to me, who are interested in my books, to look for this book called There Has Never Been Anything False About Hope. It's on Amazon as well as Textbook Center and my social platform. There Has Never Been Anything False About Hope. So if you're in Kenya, go to any Textbook Center branch and have it. There is also Profound, Monday Motivations Profound, that is a textbook center, and a children's book called Protecting Our World. Finally, there are these cards I do at home. Many of you do not know my other talents. There are many related to exams that they are coming. Congratulations on graduation. Happy birthday, happy everything, hongera. They are sold at Textbook Center or through me. So take time, go to Textbook Center and find these. Thank you so much, Eunice. The Lord bless you and keep you. You are an amazing personality, and we really thank God for you. It's 8:30. It's been an honor having you. The recording will be shared on YouTube, Facebook, and WhatsApp. God bless you. Good night, good afternoon, good morning. 8:30 p.m. See you on 19th of September for another Third Thursday. My name is Larry Lisa.